Tonight you will cook your food, or someone will cook it for you. Or a machine will. Or it will arrive at your door already cooked, in a container, from a place where someone else cooked it earlier today. This is so normal that you have never once thought of it as strange. But here is the thing. You are the only animal on Earth that does this. Not just the only animal that uses fire, though that's true. The only animal that systematically transforms its food before eating it. Every lion, every wolf, every chimpanzee, every creature that has ever hunted or foraged for food on this planet consumes it raw. Exactly as it was found. Unchanged by heat, unchanged by preparation, unchanged by anything. Only you cook. And for most of human history, scientists assumed this was a cultural behavior, a preference, a refinement. Something humans started doing because they could, not because they had to. They were wrong. In 1999, a Harvard professor named Richard Wrangham proposed something that changed the entire field of human evolution. Not a small revision to existing theory, a fundamental reordering of the story of how you became you. His argument was this: cooking didn't follow the development of the human brain. Cooking caused it. Moan that thought. Because before we get to the neuroscience, we need to establish just how strange your situation actually is. Every animal on Earth is adapted to eat its food raw. Their digestive systems, their teeth, their jaw muscles, their gut microbiome, all of it calibrated, over millions of years of evolution, to extract maximum nutrition from unprocessed food. Humans are not. Our teeth are too small, our jaws are too weak, our digestive tract is too short. Compared to other great apes of similar body size, human intestines are roughly 60% shorter than they should be for an animal eating a raw diet. We cannot extract sufficient nutrition from raw food alone to sustain the metabolic demands of our body, and especially not our brain. A modern human trying to survive on raw food would need to spend between 6 and 9 hours a day chewing just to get enough calories to stay alive. Chimpanzees, which are built for raw food, spend around 6 hours a day chewing. Their jaw muscles take up a substantial portion of their skull. Their brains are roughly a third the size of yours. This is not a coincidence. The human digestive system was reshaped, over hundreds of thousands of years, around the assumption that food would arrive pre-processed by heat. Cooking is not something humans do. It is something human biology requires. And the question is, how did we get here? Here's what Wrangham discovered, and it is one of the most elegant pieces of evolutionary reasoning ever assembled. When you cook food, several things happen simultaneously. Proteins denature, their complex folded structures unravel, making them dramatically easier to digest. Starches gelatinize, becoming far more bioavailable. Toxins and pathogens are destroyed. The cellular walls of plant matter break down, releasing nutrients that would otherwise pass through the digestive tract completely unused. The result is food that delivers significantly more energy per calorie consumed than the same food would deliver raw, not slightly more. Studies comparing cooked versus raw diets in controlled conditions find that cooked food provides up to 30% more usable energy from the same quantity of food. 30% more energy, from the same meal, with less time spent chewing and less digestive effort expended. Now think about what your brain costs. The human brain accounts for 2% of body weight and consumes 20% of total energy intake. It is, calorie for calorie, the most expensive organ in the body. Running it is not free. Expanding it, growing a brain 3 times the size of a chimpanzee's over the course of a few 100,000 years, required a sustained energy surplus that no raw diet could reliably produce. And it became significantly larger, roughly 3 times the size of a chimpanzee brain, somewhere between 800,000 and 400,000 years ago, which is, not coincidentally, roughly when the fossil record shows clear evidence of controlled fire use becoming widespread in human populations. The energy freed by cooking, the calories that previously went to raw digestion, to the massive jaw muscles required to chew raw food for hours, to the long intestinal tract needed to extract nutrition from unprocessed plant matter. That energy went somewhere. It went to the brain. The gut shrank, the jaw shrank, the skull changed shape. And in the space freed up by the retreat of massive chewing muscles, muscles that in our primate relatives run all the way to the top of the skull, the brain case expanded. You have a large brain not despite the fact that your ancestors cooked their food, but because of it. Marshi nu Huai nu. But here is the part that Wrangham himself found most extraordinary. And it changes the story from biology into something much larger. A large brain needs more than calories. It needs time. An animal that spends 6 to 9 hours a day chewing does very little else. Thinking, socializing, problem-solving, creating. All of these require attention that is not committed to the mechanical work of eating. Gorillas, who eat a raw plant diet, spend roughly half their waking hours doing nothing but chewing. Half of every day. Gone to jaw movement. Cooking compressed the time humans spent acquiring and processing nutrition. A meal that would have taken hours to chew raw could be consumed in minutes. Wrangham calculated that cooking reduced human eating time by more than half, freeing up hours every single day that had previously been unavoidable. And the hours freed by that compression, the spare time created by the efficiency of cooked food, were the hours in which everything that makes us human actually happened. Language, social complexity, art, planning, storytelling. None of these are possible when the majority of your waking hours are spent chewing. Wrangham's insight was not just that cooking fed the brain, it was that cooking gave humans the time to use it. The campfire, in this reading, is not a convenience, it is the origin point of human civilization. The place where food became efficient enough to leave room for everything else. Where surplus energy and surplus time converged for the first time in evolutionary history, and what emerged from that convergence was a species unlike anything that had come before. There is one more thing worth sitting with. Cooking is the only behavior in the human repertoire that appears to be both universal and ancient enough to have shaped our biology. Every human culture in history has cooked, not some. Every single one, including the most isolated populations, including groups with no contact with the rest of the world for tens of thousands of years. And every single one has gathered around the fire to do it. Not just to eat, to talk, to tell stories, to process the day, to be together in a way that raw eating, hurried, individual, focused entirely on the mechanical work of chewing, never allowed. The campfire is where human social life was born. The cooking fire is the first technology, the first kitchen, the first theater, the first place where the excess cognitive capacity created by efficient nutrition was put to use in the company of other people. Wrangham called this the cooking hypothesis. Most of his colleagues initially dismissed it. Then the evidence accumulated. The timing matched, the fossil anatomy matched, the metabolic math matched. Now it is one of the most widely cited ideas in the science of human evolution. Marabif fandiu herpalmdan. The next time you stand over a pan, or open a container, or eat something that has been transformed by heat before it reaches you. Remember this. You are not just feeding yourself, you are performing the behavior that made you possible. The single act that, more than any other, separated the trajectory of the human species from every other animal on Earth. Not intelligence, not language, not tools, fire, applied to food, consistently, for hundreds of thousands of years. That sequence of events shrank your gut, freed your jaw, grew your brain, compressed the time you needed to survive, and left room, for the first time in the history of life on this planet, for a species to sit around a fire after eating and think about something other than eating. To wonder, to plan, to tell each other stories about where they came from and where they were going. You are the descendant of every ancestor who cooked, and in a very real, very measurable, very biological sense, the act of cooking is not something humans learned to do, it is something humans became. That's what this channel is. Every week, one behavior so familiar you've never questioned it, revealed as the thing that made everything else possible.